All right, let's keep it going. Okay. Now, another level that you need to look at is how much cardio you need to be doing based on your goals. Okay. That's pretty simple. Because some people need to do high amounts of cardio. Some people need to do low amounts of cardio. Some people need to do intervals. Some people need to do steady state. Okay. Some people need to do a combination of the two. Okay. So your cardio program based on your goals is extremely important. And that's another level of customization. Okay. Now, this is a kind of an easy one, right? But equipment you have access to. Okay. If you don't have access to the equipment, then what good is that program if you don't have access to it? Okay. In fact, I have clients on a weekly basis say, hey, I don't have this machine and I have to go in and customize it. Because sometimes I don't know. I mean, I work with a lot of clients all over the country. So I don't really know sometimes how their gym looks. So I try to give them exercises that most gyms have. But every now and again, I'll get clients who say, hey, we don't have this machine. So I'll go in and I'll customize it. Okay. That's how they know that it's customized, because they can actually talk to me and I can go in there and change it. Okay. Your gym setup, okay? Your gym setup it's not just equipment you have access to. Your gym setup is another level of customization that you have to take into consideration. In fact, last night I was actually having a conversation with a client, and she was telling me, she's like, it doesn't matter what you pair my workout with, because everything is really close to each other. So because everything was so close to each other, I created a circuit workout for her. And so now she can do a circuit workout with 5 different exercises and just go round and round with that particular circuit. Where a few days ago, I had a client who said, hey, look, the upper body machines are on the 2nd floor, the lower body machines are on the 1st floor, and the cardio machines are on the 3rd floor. Okay. So I know that when I go to look at creating her program, I've got to look at it based on her particular gym setup. Okay. So that's another level of customization that we have to look at. Okay. We need to look at your weak body parts. Okay. That's a very, very important thing to consider, because you may not know it. Now, this may not be something that you'll be able to do yourself. I mean, there might be some things right away that you can say, oh, these are my weak body parts as far as weak and strength. But what about some body parts that you don't know are weak? Like a lot of postural muscles for most people are very, very weak, because we sit behind a computer all day and we have our shoulders rounded. Okay. So those are also, that's kind of like next level. If you have a coach is able to look at that and say, hey, look, based on your occupation, based on your posture, chances are you have some weak muscles. Okay. Now when we create programs, we do that. Sometimes we don't explain it to the client, just because there's so much to explain and there's so many levels of customization that they just want, hey, look, as long as I'm gaining muscle and I'm not hurting myself, I'm good, and I'll just keep going. But we do look at that as coaches. Okay. Now here's a big thing: the muscles that your body best responds to. Okay. In fact, let's see, was it Monday? Maybe a week ago Monday, I was talking to a client. He's like, hey, Aaron, just so you know, and he's 55, 56. He's like, hey, Aaron, just so you know, my arms respond to anything. Like, I can literally not do arms and I'm going to have huge arms. So let's, just take that into consideration. Now, this is somebody who really knows his body, and I trust that he knows his body. He's a triathlete. He's done, 20 something Ironman. So I trust that he knows his body. But a lot of times clients that are just starting their journey, they don't know their body. But as a coach, that's my job to be able to look at a muscle and say, wow, when we do just 1 exercise per week, these muscles grow rapidly, right? Or when we do 5 exercises per week, these muscles barely grow. Okay. So knowing which muscles respond the best and the least is extremely important into creating your program. Okay. So that's another level of customization. Okay. My favorite, and I say the thing that I care about more than anything, is joint range of motion. Okay. That's a level of customization that a lot of people don't take into consideration. Okay. If you have back injuries, if you have shoulder injuries, if you have knee injuries, if you have elbow injuries, you've got to take into consideration your joint range of motion, because sometimes, especially back injuries, let's say you have back injury, that's pretty common. Okay. So if you have back injury, you really need to limit your range of motion on leg press. You really need to limit your range of motion on body weights, or barbell squats, if you need to be doing them at all. Okay. So you can still get a great workout with a limited range of motion. Okay. one of the big things that you hear all the time, especially with squats, is the whole ass to grass or go down as far as you can or go below parallel or go to parallel, like all of this stuff. Okay. And honestly, it's complete hogwash. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't work if you go all the way down and you do that stuff. I'm not saying it doesn't work. What I'm saying is they're not taking into consideration your spinal range of motion. Okay. Your spine only has a certain amount of range of motion. Okay. If you want a quick way to hurt your back, then go all the way down and go ass to grass, and you'll be that's a real quick way to hurt your back. Because I mean, it's only a matter of time until you hurt yourself with that. Okay. So when we prescribe exercises, this is super important for my clients to know right now, but even future clients. But when we prescribe exercises that we know are going to limit your risk of injury, okay? And we are most likely going to side on the side of caution and limit that range of motion, okay? Some of my clients, you see the way we do seated dips. You'll see, if you go watch that video on how to do seated dips, you'll see that the range of motion is extremely short. I spent 14 years of my career going through continuing education on proper human biomechanics. And a big part of that was learning a joint range of motion. So learning the joint range of motion just on your shoulder, okay? Learning a joint range of motion on your elbow or on your knees or on your hips, okay? So I had to learn the joint range of motion for each one of those, and knowing at which point are you going to start putting yourself at high risk for injury? Okay. And then you combine that with exercise selection. Hey, look, if I can just keep a client from getting hurt, the chances of their success of getting results are going to be really high because they never hurt themselves. They're always continually going. Okay. But working around injuries is also another big thing. Okay. If you're a client of mine and you've had injuries, you've had shoulder surgery, or you've had, some cases, some of my clients get, breast augmentation surgery, okay? Or they've had knee surgery, or in some cases they've hurt their back, okay? All of my clients who have had some type of surgery or some type of injury, you all know that I have been able, that as coaches, we are able to work around that injury. You can still continue to work out. You can still continue to do things, and we are not putting you at risk for injury. We're actually helping you rehab through that injury. Okay. So that's another level of customization, is working around injury. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but injury prevention is another level, is making sure that you are creating the exercises so you are preventing injury from occurring. Okay. The most common injuries that occur are shoulder injuries, back injuries, knee injuries, low back injuries, I should say, and knee injuries. Those are the most common injuries that you see all the time. So if we can create programs and exercises and selections based on those common injuries to keep you from hurting yourself, that's a great thing. So you need to make sure that's another level of customization. Okay. So when we prescribe exercises, this is super important for my clients to know right now, but even future clients. But when we prescribe exercises that we know are going to limit your risk of injury. Okay. And we are most likely going to side on the side of caution and limit that range of motion. Okay. Some of my clients, you see the way we do seated dips. You'll see, if you go watch that video on how to do seated dips, you'll see that the range of motion is extremely short. I spent 14 years of my career going through continuing education on proper human biomechanics. And a big part of that was learning a joint range of motion. So learning the joint range of motion just on your shoulder, okay? Learning a joint range of motion on your elbow or on your knees or on your hips, okay? So I had to learn the joint range of motion for each one of those, and knowing at which point are you going to start putting yourself at high risk for injury, okay? And then you combine that with exercise selection. Hey, look, if I can just keep a client from getting hurt, the chances of their success of getting results are going to be really high because they never hurt themselves. They're always continually going, okay? Your exercise likes and dislikes, okay? Obviously, that's a duh, right? Duh. Like, I'm going to do the exercise likes and dislikes. I'm going to do more of the likes and less of the dislikes. You still need to do some dislikes, right? Because some dislikes are extremely effective. But if you really dislike something, we can always figure out something that you like to do instead, okay? And then probably, I'll say the last one, I can probably keep going on all the different levels of customization, but program style likes and dislikes, Okay. That's a huge thing as well, because if you're extremely motivated with a particular style or program of workout, then you're probably going to be more motivated to do it. You're going to work out more intense. You're going to get more results. Okay. So doing programs likes and dislikes and taking that in consideration is another level of customization. Okay. I'll tell you this, the more levels that your program is customized to, the more this is customized to you and the more fine-tuned it is for you. So it will be in your favor to have all of these in your workout plan. Okay. If you're creating this on your own, it will be in your favor to have all of these in your workout plan. Okay. If you want to purchase a plan, then get as many as you can based on your budget. Okay.